Okay, Jonathan, how you doing? I've got your work up right here, and let's go ahead and get started. Talk about your presentation. All right, is this the best image to represent Colorado? It's a black and white image, and it's an image of a highway. I'm not seeing it. I think it's a poor image to use. I think it's sending a lot of the wrong signals. I recommend using a color image, and I recommend using an image of Colorado wilderness, preferably something that depicts the mountains and the snow and the fact that this is a perfect location for winter sports. I don't think we're getting that here. Introduction, great job. I mean, this is all good. Introduction, culture, culture continued. I think that adding the images is really an interesting viewpoint for the pages themselves. Okay, so we get to introduction, culture, culture continued, infrastructure, and goal. Okay, then we get into logo drafts. And that's great. I think it's a wonderful idea that you're showing different iterations. However, you're saying logo drafts, and then you go into logo. But then over here, you go into inspiration. These were all drafts. These were all drafts. These were all iterations of your logo. So these aren't inspiration. These are your work. Inspiration is something that you would say, okay, I got my inspiration from looking at, remember this one was from Red Rocks? So describe each one of these in terms of these are logos that I didn't use, but the inspiration for these was blah, blah, blah. For instance, that one was Red Rocks and then the city with the mountains. And then this one was the cityscape with the mountains in the background and Olympic. And just describe each one of these. And again, remember, these aren't inspiration. These are iterations. These are part of your work. So this is an inspiration assumes that you looked at something and were inspired by it and drawn to work your conclusion based on that inspiration. But these are your work, so we can't really call these inspiration. So my idea is to go from logo drafts and include these on your logo drafts page. Okay, and describe each one of your logo drafts. Really describe them, okay? What the idea is behind it, behind the color, behind the gradients, behind the mechanics, everything. Describe each one in depth. Then get to your final logo. Now, I want to talk about the final logo, okay? I think this, from here down, is great. The mark itself, I think it's superior to where it was. However, I've got a couple of issues. This right here, see how these come up to points? In visual communications, basic visual communications, anything that is pointy like this indicates pain and discomfort. So if you're going to use these sharp points in a logo, it's very much expected that the viewer is going to look at this and basically subconsciously in their head, they're going to look at this and say, that doesn't look like that looks dangerous. It looks sharp and it looks like it could hurt me. And that's how we think, and that's how visual communication works. All the root of visual communication is based on survival. I'm going to repeat that because it's very important. The root of all visual communication is based on survival. So, for example, in page mechanics, if you have an element on a page that's sitting like this, vertically or horizontally at the bottom of the page, the eye looks at it and says, okay, that appears to be at rest. That is not a danger to me. Therefore, it indicates a more of a tranquil type setting. Okay, you take that same line and put it on a diagonal. Now think about a ladder. All right, when it's on a diagonal, a ladder is prone to fall. Therefore, we look at it and we're not comfortable with it. The same can be used to translate through to visual communications. If something looks like it's not comfortable, if something looks like it's sharp, or it would hurt us to touch it, or hurt us to interact it, is a real good indication that you're breaking some rules of basic visual communications. And I think that is definitely the case right up here with these really sharp edges. Okay, I would try to work that into this right here. Instead of having these sharp, just try to work these off like that. And then finally, I would take that and turn that into a circle instead of that kind of diamond. I think that would be a lot more pleasing to the eye, okay? Now, from there, you have final inspiration. And again, these are your logos. These aren't inspiration. You designed these, right? So, I mean, you should use these as your logo iterations, logo drafts, not inspirations. You see what I'm saying? I hope you understand the difference between inspiration and what logo drafts are. Okay, so you get product placement, and we jump into product placement, and I think that you've got 3 shots here. And Jonathan, we are so underdeveloped right here. I'm really, really concerned about the final presentation. Okay, the reason I say that is because, okay, so you've got your ticket here. There's no information whatsoever. We don't know what event this is. Your pictograms aren't on here. You haven't incorporated your colors. Actually, we don't have your color study. Well, there's your color studies right there, but you haven't incorporated any of your colors. And you show this image, but I mean, it's just, remember, this is an international audience. I mean, you have got to be specifically clear with your intent. Okay. These look good, but that's it for your placement shots. You've got this, you've got a ticket, and you've got 2 banners. I want you to make sure that you go to, the announcements this week. I have posted an announcement there with 2 examples of previous student work that were both significantly successful. Both received high A grades. So I wanted to include those so that you could have an idea of what A work looks like. And I really want you to take a look at that, Jonathan, because right now, and I'll be honest with you, if this was your final presentation, it wouldn't meet the A standard. And I think that you know that. I don't think I'm really telling you anything you don't know. I think self-admittedly you are pretty well behind, as are a bunch of us in the class. So love these colors. Love them. Just love them. You know what I'm saying? I really think it's time to put the pedal to the ground here, Jonathan, and let's start pumping out some solutions. Again, take a look at those examples in the announcements area. I'd like to see your presentation at about 25 pages. I think it's easily done, and I think you'll get some great ideas and some inspiration looking from those examples, okay? If you have any questions or comments, I'll be around all week. I'll be doing double time because I know you guys are scrambling to get your work completed. So that said, I will be glad to provide you with any additional and final critiques or comments moving into our final presentation. All right? Thanks, Jonathan. Any questions at all, please feel free to get with me. Thank you.